The Kent County Sheriff's Department has arrested a man for the rape and murder of a woman in 1996.
Investigators say they didn't have the evidence they needed until now.
26 years ago, their sister Sharon Hammock was killed when she was just 29 years old.
Today, we will talk about the 26-year-old case of Sharon Kay Hammock, who was murdered on October 3, 1996. So who was Hammock? And what happened to her? Welcome back to Mysterious Hook, where we shed light on under-the-radar cases. My name is Matt, and without further ado, let's get started. Caledonia Charter Township is a charter township in Kent County in the U.S. state of Michigan. The township was organized as a survey township in 1838. It is part of the Grand Rapids metropolitan area and is located about 10 miles southeast of the city of Grand Rapids. Now, the story remains an integral part of this location, which would later unfold into a web of horrors. Sharon Kay Hammock was born to Jacob and Lois Gross. She was leading a normal life. Then she got married, had 2 kids, and the couple separated due to their differences in opinions. Separation and loneliness made drugs Sharon's best friend. Sharon wanted to quit drugs as she had very little money to survive, but her addiction made her enter sex work to support her family and drug abuse. Sharon found herself in a very unfamiliar situation on a late night, October 2nd, 1996. On October 3rd, 1996, a delivery guy was covering his regular beat when he came across a body wrapped up in a carpet. He then alerted the Kent County officials. Kent County deputies reached 76th Street southeast between Patterson and Craft Avenue in Caledonia Township, where they located a deceased female. The woman was 29 years old when this incident occurred, and her name was Sharon Kay Hammock. She was sexually assaulted, strangled, stabbed twice in the head, hogtied, and dumped on the side of a highway. The assailant assaulted the victim, leaving DNA vaginally and rectally, as well as other items including a rope that was used to hogtie the victim. Sharon was a mother of 2 and 4 months pregnant when she was killed. This murder was one of the 12 Grand Rapids murder sprees in 1994. Although the police gathered all the DNA evidence present on the victim, they couldn't find the assailant due to a lack of resources and technology. And soon, this case would turn cold. A string of crimes happened on the highways connecting the U.S., Canada, and Mexico borders over the years. There were over 500 murders along the highways of these countries and over 200 possible suspects. These strings would also connect human trafficking that occurred across the states. The possibility of suspects being long-haul truck drivers was high due to the multi-jurisdictional nature of these heinous crimes. In 2006, Maryland State Police were investigating the homicide of a woman who was assaulted and stabbed to death. The assailant left DNA in that victim's body as well. The Highway Patrol has been heightened over the years due to the increasing number of crimes on the highways, and the murder was very similar to that of Sharon's. Even after increased patrol by the police, they were still not able to get their hands on the murderer until 2022. On August 16, 2022, there was a regular traffic arrest of a man named Garry Artman. When police ran a check on his ID, they found that he was arrested in 1982 for a sex crime. He spent 10 years in jail in Michigan and was released in 1992. So the Mississippi Highway Patrol put him in custody and contacted the Kent County Sheriff's Office in Michigan. They verified his DNA with the crimes that occurred on the highway with the help of the Mississippi State Highway Patrol, the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations, the Forest County Sheriff's Office in Mississippi, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office in Alabama, the Columbia County Sheriff's Office in Florida, the Michigan State Police Crime Lab, the Kent County Prosecutor's Office, and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. Using IgG, they were able to check that the DNA of the perpetrator found in the Maryland case in 2006 and Sharon Kay Hammock's case in 1996 was from the same person. IgG showed a family tree of that DNA sequence, which included Garry Dean Artman, and his previous record showed that he worked and lived in Michigan when Hammock was killed. Further investigations revealed that shortly before the homicide, the victim was in Ontario, California, and it was found that around the same time, Garry Dean Artman was within 20 miles of Ontario, California, when he was cited by local authorities. All of these clues added up to the arrest of Garry Dean Artman after 26 years, who is now being held in the Forest County Sheriff's Office in Mississippi. The Kent County Sheriff's Office is trying to extradite Garry Dean Artman to Michigan, but the extradition is still in progress. The 26-year-old cold case is now finally solved with the help of technology and diligent police officers who never gave up on cold cases by showing trust with the families that lost a loved one. On August 18, 2022, one of Sharon's case detectives knocked on Terry Nowitzka's, Sharon's sister's, door and walker. The investigator wanted to make sure that the family learned of the arrest first. He had also gotten on the phone with one of Sharon's other sisters, Tina DeYoung. "We got him," DeYoung quoted the detective as saying as soon as she got on the phone. DeYoung was stunned. "It's just a flood of emotion," she told the police. "I'm happy, but I'm sad too." DeYoung said the news brought up the pain of losing her sister all over again, but she is grateful to the Kent County Sheriff's Department for never forgetting about her sister. Unfortunately, Sharon's parents, Jacob and Lois Gross, were both deceased before justice was served. "Mama, we got justice for her," DeYoung said Thursday night, looking up toward the sky. "I'm sorry it didn't happen before the good Lord took you, but justice will be served. You can celebrate with her up there." Police had been working on an in-depth examination of the 1990 murders and spoke with Terry Nowitzka in mid-May. "We would love to know who did this to her. It wasn't right for any of the girls to have done this to them. Just terrible," Terry said tearfully. Sharon was a loving sister, a loving daughter, and a loving mother to 2 children, and we miss her so badly.
"She was a loving sister, a loving daughter, and a loving mother."
Terry said her sister was 3 to 4 months pregnant when she was killed. "So there's a baby we don't even know about," she said. "Sharon wanted everything out of life for her children. I don't know who she got hooked up with on drugs. When she first got into it, she wanted to get clean for her children, but then she got so far into crack that it took her downhill. It was just terrible to see her on the streets. I hated seeing her there." Finally, Sharon's family could now feel peace after the murderer was brought to justice. And indeed, Sharon Hammock was not the only sex worker to have gone missing and eventually been found dead in Michigan during the 1990s. Incredibly, she was the 9th of 12 killed during that decade in the Grand Rapids area. According to Wood TV, the majority had addiction issues and were engaging in sex work as a result, which was more likely to put them in harm's way with a dangerous predator on the loose. By the time they were discovered, most of the bodies were skeletal, which led to issues collecting forensic evidence. The first was 25-year-old Lisa Ottberg, who was discovered in 1994, while the final victim known was 29-year-old Victoria Moore in 1996. The LA Times reported in 1996 that a task force had been set up that involved officers from around the region meeting in the basement of the Grand Rapids Police Department to investigate the murders. They believed that most had been targeted as they worked the so-called Sin Strip in Grand Rapids, a north-south artery that incorporated the red light district at the time, while many also had links to a women's refuge called Rose Haven. Director of the organization, Brenda Delecky, told the newspaper at the time, "Someone has a hook out there that is drawing just about anyone in. I'd be really surprised if it wasn't a serial killer. It's too much to be a coincidence." Task Force spokeswoman Lieutenant Carol Price commented in response, "We're not denying that it's a possibility, but we don't concentrate on that theory to the exclusion of others. There were never charges in any of the cases, but investigators are now looking into the possibility that Artman might have killed not just Sharon, but also the other sex workers in Grand Rapids, and that he committed similar crimes in other states like Maryland too. If he did use his transient lifestyle as a trucker to abduct and murder vulnerable women, it might be that many more families left wondering what happened to their loved ones are about to get the answers they have been seeking for so long." However, we must not forget to mention the technologies used to capture Garry Dean Artman. This case shows that no matter how anyone tries to escape the consequences of his or her actions, they will come back full circle. Could this be called karma? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of some of the most compelling cases.